Thank you for joining us. Why don't you tell us who you are and your NF journey?
I am Kara. I am a mother of a 6-year-old boy who has NF1. He's the first in our family. It's from a mutation.
What was the experience leading up to like getting a diagnosis, and like what were the early signs that made you even question what was happening?
When he was about 2 months old, he started getting cafe au lait spots. We had never encountered this, so we weren't familiar. We didn't understand what was happening. So then when he was 4 months old, he had gotten quite a few. And this was the first time a doctor, his pediatrician, started suggesting that it could be, as he had put it, von Recklinghausen, which is the old way of saying neurofibromatosis. And then when he was 10 months old, we went to a geneticist for the first time. They were very confident by a lot of things that he had it, based on he couldn't sit up on his own until he was almost a year old. The spots, the size of his head, his legs were bent in. It was just a lot of things adding up. But then we didn't get the actual diagnosis until he was 2, whenever he got a plexiform tumor on his rib cage. So since then, he does physical therapy. He has muscle tone issues. He does speech therapy. He does occupational therapy. He has learning delays, all very common traits with people with NF.
In what ways do you feel that NF has been like a hindrance?
He's still fairly young, but he's always had just different struggles than other kids. Like, obviously, with his muscle tone, it's always been hard for him to keep up with other kids with his learning delays, the speech delays. Even today, he was getting upset on a Zoom meeting because they couldn't understand what he was saying. So like, I'm typically translating for him. The doctor's appointments, his tumor, all of the things, it's so normal to him because it's always been this way. So for him, I feel like what's really important is that we just keep up the positive attitude of, this is normal. But for us, it has definitely been a progression from the overwhelming fears and sadness and anxieties from the time that he was 4 months old up until 6 years old, where he is now, where it's kind of like it's just an umbrella of, I guess, anxiety all the time. But then I feel like it becomes just so normal.
In what ways do you think being an NF fighter has strengthened him as a person?
For a little boy in kindergarten, he's the strongest person that I know. And I know a lot of people that feel the same way. He's so absolutely resilient because he's lived life through a different lens and perspective than the rest of us have, like in our immediate family. And I feel like he's not a complainer. He's super optimistic. But I think at the same time, I find him in situations, mostly among his peers, and then too with like schoolwork and things, where I do see the frustration and the like isolation of being different. So it's kind of like a tug of war, where it's like, this is normal though, but then in his school or amongst his friends or family, he is the only one. And at times I think it is like mildly isolating.
How did you come about getting connected with NF Midwest, and what has been your experience with them?
With NF, the medical issues and all of the issues, it's just such a wide range that it was real. And like, since he was the first one, it was so hard when people would ask us questions like, well, what is that? And well, what's going to happen to him? And we were like, anything or nothing, or we don't know. Like, no one knows. And it was just so hard, which now I feel like anybody in the NF community understands that. But I feel like being an outsider, it was really hard to comprehend and explain. So we just talked about it less and less with, people in our life. Our immediate family knew, an immediate friend circle, but that was it. We were pretty quiet about it. And it was incredibly lonely and isolating too, for my husband and I, to have this child with a disorder that we didn't understand. So we couldn't help other people that loved him understand. And then for him, it was a really lonely time. And then when he was about 2, Lurie's Children's Hospital in Chicago had connected us with NF Midwest. Upon the very first phone call, it was just like family. Like, you're a part of this tribe. And you know, I remember the first phone call, it was like, no, we don't hide it. We don't hold it in. Like, awareness. Like, we want to find ways to fight this. And we want our fighters to know that they're not alone and they're not different, or not to feel different, more so. And it was just a very liberating experience for us to have this confidence that it's going to be okay, and that we can do this with him, and that we want him to feel like everyone else. It helped us to make him feel like his way of life was normal and that he wasn't different. And it really is. I mean, we've really integrated into the NF community, and it is so wonderful to like go to these parent groups and be with other parents where you feel like you always have anxiety and you're crazy. And then like all the time, because your mind's going a million miles a minute when you have a child with this disorder. And then you meet all these other parents that are going through the same struggles and have the same anxieties. And then just to feel that sense of family and tribe, and to do these fundraisers and to bring awareness and to help find, you know, a cure, medications, whatever's needed for people. And as well, the fact that when he was 2, how we were super quiet about it. And now at 6, like, he tells people all the time, like, oh, I have NF, like, in an excited way, because he doesn't know any other way than to be positive about it. And I truly believe that NF Midwest was the one that helped us feel that within ourselves and him.
What would you, another family that is being first diagnosed, do you have any advice that you would give to them, or your past self?
The first thing I would say is breathe, take a breath. The second thing I would say is stay off the internet. It's going to make you crazy. If you Google this, you're just always going to see the worst of the worst of the worst. And you're just imagining your child this way. It's just spirals. If you can find a community that can be there for you and make you feel like you're a part of a tribe. Sometimes it's scary and sometimes it's sad, but sometimes it's okay. I remember the white noise when the doctors were talking. I remember the staying up till 2 a.m. Googling on my phone. And if I could go back 4 years ago, I would just tell that version of me, like, just breathe, put down your phone. It's going to be okay. And he's going to work through this and you're going to work through this and it's going to be okay.
It's so important. Thank you for your time and thank you for sharing your story. Before I let you go, is there anything else you want to add?
If anybody feels timid to reach out or shy, please don't. Like, we love these meetings that we have, and you know, these fundraisers that we have and different things. Like, there's so many options out there for you and your family, and it does feel good to be a part of the community.
That's excellent advice.
Hi, I'm Morgan. I have NF. Make sure you like and subscribe.
That's important. Like and subscribe. NF Midwest.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.